Today, we're diving deep into the shadow world of international espionage. This is a silent battleground where a single piece of information can literally change the world, and the people gathering it risk absolutely everything. We're about to unravel one of the most catastrophic intelligence failures in recent American history. And look, that is not a line from a spy movie. That is a chilling, real-world detail from a report on this case. It's a brutal message, right? And it really sets the stage for the devastating story of how an entire network of American spies inside China was systematically hunted down and just destroyed. The stakes could not have been higher.
So how did this all go so wrong? For years, the CIA had spent a ton of time and resources carefully building this crucial network of informants deep inside the Chinese government. These were incredibly valuable sources. But then, all of a sudden, that entire network just started to violently unravel.
20. Just let that number sink in. That's the estimated number of CIA informants who were either killed or thrown in prison by the Chinese government. And this happened in a shockingly short amount of time. This wasn't a few random arrests, you know? This was a precise, methodical purge that essentially left American intelligence completely in the dark.
And what's really shocking is just how fast it all collapsed. You can see it on the timeline here. It all starts in 2010, when the flow of information just slows to a trickle. By early 2011, assets are literally vanishing off the map. And then, boom, within 2 years, the entire network, a network that took so long to build, was just gone. That kind of speed meant the Chinese weren't just getting lucky. They knew exactly who they were looking for.
So you can just imagine back at CIA headquarters in Langley, the alarm bells were screaming. I mean, losing a few agents is a terrible risk of the job, but losing an entire network, that is a full-blown catastrophe. So a frantic, top-secret investigation was launched to figure out what went so horribly wrong. The investigation got a code name, Honey Badger. This was a joint CIA-FBI task force, and they had one single urgent mission: find the leak. They were looking at every single possibility, from a traitor in their ranks to some kind of catastrophic tech failure. The pressure was just immense. And this was the one central question that was haunting all of the investigators. How on earth could China identify and take out so many American assets with such terrifying precision? They had to find the answer, not just for the agents they'd lost, but to make sure this could never, ever happen again. So after all the digging, the Honey Badger team eventually narrowed it all down to 3 distinct and frankly equally terrifying theories. Each one pointed to a different, massive kind of failure inside the American intelligence community. Okay, so think of it like a spy thriller whodunit with 3 prime suspects. Theory number 1, was there a mole, a traitor buried deep inside the CIA selling out their own people? Theory 2, was it a hack? Did Chinese intelligence manage to break into the secret covert system the CIA used to talk to its sources? Or Theory 3, was it just sloppy work? A series of small mistakes and human errors that left a trail for the Chinese to follow right to the agents. Now, that mole theory, it got a lot of traction. The investigation focused really heavily on one former CIA operative in particular, but in the end, they could never find enough hard evidence to actually arrest him. Today, that person has left the US and lives in another country in Asia, leaving this huge cloud of suspicion that has never really gone away. In this quote, it really gets to the heart of the whole problem. Years later, as New York Times journalist Matt Apuzzo points out, there is still an intense debate going on inside the US government. Some are totally convinced it was a mole. Others swear it was a communications hack. And another group says it was just bad tradecraft. The fact that there is no single accepted answer is maybe the most unsettling part of this entire story. But look, regardless of the cause, whether it was a mole, a hack, or just sloppiness, the consequences were immediate, and they were absolutely devastating. The breach didn't just cost lives, it created this massive intelligence vacuum at a really critical time. With the entire network gone, America's ability to understand what was happening inside the Chinese government was basically crippled. The flow of information slowed down so much that it was noticed at the very highest levels. The Obama administration itself started demanding to know why their intel on China had suddenly gone dark. And you can't just flip a switch to fix something like this. It took years to even begin to recover. It wasn't until 2013 that the CIA felt it was safe enough to even start the slow, painstaking, and incredibly dangerous process of trying to rebuild its spy network in China. They were literally starting from zero.
Now, it's really easy to look at this whole thing as a singular disaster for the US, but it's so important to understand it in a broader context. This wasn't just an isolated event. It was one brutal battle in a much larger ongoing intelligence war between two global superpowers.
And you really have to see both sides of the coin here. While the US network was being taken apart, we now know that Chinese intelligence was also having other successes, like infiltrating an NSA outpost in Taiwan. It's this constant back and forth. This was, without a doubt, a massive win for China, but it's all part of a covert conflict where both sides are constantly looking for weaknesses and scoring victories. So the ultimate takeaway here is this. This story isn't just about a spy network that was lost. It's a rare peek behind the curtain into the high-stakes, invisible war that is constantly being fought day in and day out. And the outcomes of these secret battles, they have very real consequences that influence diplomacy, military strategy, and the global balance of power. And all of that leaves us with one final big question. This catastrophic breach happened over a decade ago. Since then, the US has been rebuilding, and China has continued to advance its own intelligence capabilities. So it really makes you wonder, in this continuous silent war of spies, who's winning today?